Hi, my name is Philipp Klein. I'm an outdoor adventure filmmaker and photographer. I follow athletes around the world on their adventures and come back with compelling images and stories. You might have seen some of it in my series Stories Behind My Lens. But yeah, one of the questions I get asked the most is, what gear do I use? So today it's a bit of a different video. We're in my studio or gear room. I'm going to talk you through all the gear I use to go on these adventures. As a disclaimer, you need to know that I'm sponsored by some brands. Most of the gear I have here has been given to me or I'm paid to use it. But at the same time, you need to know that the activities I do, I put my life on the line using this gear, and I would not use this gear if I couldn't rely my life upon it. So if I'm using it, it's because it's the best I've found, and through that, some brands have decided to collaborate with me. But it's not like I'm using this wishing I could use a different product or something like that. Talking about the type of skiing that I do, which is free riding. Usually skiing off-piste or out of bounds in the backcountry. And you need to know that the backcountry can be very dangerous and you need to go always with the correct safety gear. Which brings us to the first bit of the kit, safety gear. First of all, the beacon is the BCA Tracker 4. I like this because it's very easy to use, it's very simple, but the most important part is knowing how to use this. So I make sure that I read the manual, that I've practiced with this specific beacon, and that I know how to use it if the emergency should arise. I like to keep it in a pant pocket, but if you do this, make sure that your pant or your bib is ready for this. It needs to be a specific type of pocket that you could put this into and it's still safe. Next up, we have shovels. I use the BCA Dozer 1T and also the BCA Dozer 1T UL, which stands for ultralight. I have both of these. It depends on what kind of adventure I'm going to that I take the lighter one or this one. They're more or less the same, although this feels a little bit flexier in the hand, but I've had zero issues with it and I couldn't find any real world downsides with it. However, I still like to bring this one, which is slightly heavier, to bigger adventures or bigger missions. Just gives me that little bit more of peace of mind. What's super important when you're buying your shovel is that you get a metal shovel. Avalanche debris gets really hard when it compacts, so you need something that can cut through it. And it needs to be telescopic, which will give you a lot more leverage and a lot more power. Lastly, I use the BCA Stealth Carbon probe in 240 centimeters length. I always leave this pouch at home. I'm very lucky because I hadn't had to use this yet in a real world scenario, in a real avalanche, but I've practiced a lot with all of this kit and I haven't had any issues with it being carbon. Next up, I want to talk about backpacks. This backpack is an avalanche safety backpack, or an airbag as you might know it. If it's turned on and I pull on this, there'd be a huge airbag coming out from behind me. And this effectively reduces your probability of getting buried during an avalanche, but it does not prevent anything from happening to you or the avalanche even happening. So the avalanche airbag is good for when you've already done some mistakes. Just keep that in mind. This is the BCA Float Albright E2. It's the 35-liter version. It's very comfortable. I almost cannot feel the extra weight of having an airbag with it. But to be totally honest, I only use this in specific scenarios where I know I won't be touring as much or where weight isn't a full-on concern for me. For most of my adventures, if I have to tour up to the mountain, weight is definitely a very big concern. So I use one of these two backpacks. These are the Wrap Chroma backpacks in 30 liters and 38 liters. And depending on the day I'm having, I'll use this for either resort or just day tours. Or if I'm going on bigger missions and I'm doing a tour that takes more than one day, I'll be using this one, which has more capacity. These are honestly one of my favorite backpacks. They have all the features you need and none of the ones you don't. You can carry the skis in A-frame, you can carry them diagonally. Something that's very important is having a separate compartment for all your safety gear. And I also put my water in here, so in case something were to break or it gets full of snow, This could be sort of like a wet room. And talking about the main compartment, something I really appreciate about these backpacks is that you open them from the backside. This means that when I'm skiing in them and I put them into the snow, I can open them from the back and all my internals, or the back part, which I'll be putting back on, is staying dry. Let's talk about skis. So these are my current skis. I've been skiing on all of these at least a couple seasons now, so they're not the latest models. Some of these might change in the future, but I cannot tell you about that yet. My most important ski, I think, the one you'll see the most in my adventures, K2 Mindbender 108 Ti in 186 with a hybrid binding. This would be my tip for kind of like an all-mountain ski that you can use all over the mountain, that you don't know what kind of snow you're going to be expecting. It's very stiff, so I can also ski on very hard snow. I found that these allow me to ski really well on-piste as well as going off-piste. If there was one downside to make is that they're really heavy, like proper heavy. I think these are 2.2 kilos. And also I found that at times the ride can be a little bit harsh. So I'm getting more and more exhausted just from using these than I was on other skis. Next up, we have my powder touring ski. This is the Mindbender 106C, standing for carbon. You might ask me, why do I have two skis that are so similar in width? This one's 106 and that one's 108. Well, this skis very, very differently. This is much more playful than the 108. If I know I'm going on an adventure that will be only for touring, that's when I take this one because I have it mounted with pin bindings. Next up, we have the Dispatch 101 in 182 centimeters long. This is my favorite touring ski. It's very different to all of the other touring skis I've tried. A very, very long radius. It's super stable, but at the same time, it's very floaty. You can sort of smear it around, which I haven't found in other skis of this width. I know they're not doing the ski anymore. It's been holding up for me. I've skied this in Norway, in the Pyrenees, in many different places, and I really, really love it. Next up, this is my lightweight touring ski if I'm going on lightweight adventures where I need to focus very much on the weight. This is the K2 Wayback 96. This is a special edition. This was designed by the artist Jeff McFetridge. To be completely honest, I don't really love taking this ski because I feel like it doesn't adjust so much to my style of skiing. It's more of a traditional ski touring ski. I can definitely feel it while I'm skiing. It's great for long adventures or when I need something reliable, but it's not the most fun ski to have. Finally, my resort ski. This is of course when I know I'll be just skiing on the slopes and not going off-piste at all. These are the K2 Disruption MTI, which stands for medium turn. These are heavy, hard, and honestly, I'm not a good enough skier to take 100% out of these, but I love carving these. Due to them being kind of like for piste only and me spending 99% of my time off piste, this has seen the least use by me, but still love this ski. Now, talking between different bindings, for freeride, when it's not so much depending on weight, on the Mindbender 108, what I have is the Marker Duke PT. This one's the 11 version. I know there's a 12 and a 16. I don't need those, and also they're much heavier. I know some people have complained about the heel on these ones not being as good as the ones on the heavier ones. Well, I haven't had any problems on these. And I've skied on some other hybrid bindings before and they have pre-released on me. With these ones, I've had zero issues and I cannot stress that enough. It's a binding and it works. I wish it was a little bit lighter, but honestly, it's still okay-ish in terms of weight. However, when I'm touring or I'm not in the resort, I will definitely go for a pin binding because I see there's a big upgrade using those. So these are the Marker Alpinist. And they're great. They're very lightweight, very reliable. Skiing wise, the power transfer is really good. It's one of the better pin bindings that I've tried. In terms of poles, I think most ski poles are just that, ski poles. You don't need anything fancy. But if I can pick two really good options, I would recommend these two. These are the K2 Lockjaw Carbon Plus. I've been using these for a couple seasons, thinking they would break on me because I hadn't had that good experiences with carbon before. But to be completely honest, I'm amazed at how well they've held up. They haven't broken on me. They haven't failed any time. This GoPro mount that I mount on it has broken before. I've replaced these a couple times and they break before the pole does. But since last season, I've been using These are the Diorum Apollo FR. And honestly, these are the best poles if you're a content creator. Why, you might ask? Well, they're just like a normal standard pole. They are aluminum, but it's really good aluminum. What separates these poles from other ones are the specific features that make them great for filming. You might see I have no leashes on these. I've skied with them without leashes and it hasn't been a problem at all. Honestly, it's been even more comfortable. On this side, I have mounted a GoPro mount. I can just attach a GoPro here and film myself. On the other pole, what we have is just like a normal top, but there's a small 1/4 inch thread in there that I can flip up, and now this becomes a selfie stick. And I can screw my GoPro MAX or MAX 2 on here, and it becomes a 360 invisible pole. So you can make this really long and do follow cams, or you can film yourself, and you don't need another piece of equipment in your backpack. And finally, there's a third feature why I think these are the best poles for content creators, is the baskets. So the baskets have a specific latch on here, which is a GoPro insert. So you can just put the GoPro quick plate here and film someone doing follow cams. When I first got these poles sent to me, I thought, well, they look cool, but I don't know if they're gonna be useful to me. But honestly, after using them for a season, I love them. I really recommend them. And if you can get your hands on these, because I know they're almost constantly sold out, I highly recommend them. Okay, I forgot to talk about skins, so you'll see that now. I have 3 different types of skins. First of all, we have these. These are from K2, but they're actually branded. So if you open them up, you can see there it says Pomoka. These are the Climb Pro S Glide, I think. Overall, this is a great skin to use. I use these with the Wayback 96. Then we have these. These are the climbing skins from BCA, and the interesting thing about them is they're called hybrid skins because they have a hybrid glue. So this is not really holding on to my finger. They're sort of like glueless skins. I've had 0 problems with the glue itself not sticking to the skin. However, what I have been finding is that after a couple seasons of use, the glue is starting to come off of the skin itself. It's kind of weird. I don't know how to explain this, but here you can see like where I ripped it from the ski, it kind of took off. So I'd say these are my favorites in terms of use. However, I'm slightly concerned about the durability of these. And finally, you might know these because of the color. These are the Pomoka Free Pro 2.0. Excellent skin, super light and super thin, much lighter than these other ones, and these are for much lighter skis. I have cut these to size to fit 2 different skis at the same time. So these can fit the Mindbender 108 Ti and the Mindbender 106C. I prefer having one skin for both skis, so it's less gear I have to worry about when traveling. So my recommendation would be, if you're going with Pomoka, you're going to have a safe bet. And if you're going for hybrid skins, these are from BCA, but they also have them from Contour. I really like them, but over time I've seen that the glue comes off. I don't know if this is normal, but I wouldn't like it if I had paid for these. Next up, we're talking boots. This is my main boot. This is the Scarpa Quattro Pro. I've been on this boot for 3 seasons now, including a first one where I was skiing the prototype. And this boot is really, really good. It's the best boot I've found for what I do, which is going somewhere without knowing what I'll find. If I'm going to be freeriding with lifts, without lifts, if I'll be touring, it's extremely light for what it offers, super stiff. And if there's one boot I recommend, if it fits your foot, this would be it for freeriding. I've skied the Quattro XT before and had some durability issues with that one, but they've all been solved with the new Pro version, my favorite boot. However, sometimes if I'm just going touring or I'm training for fitness or I'm going on a very long mission where I know I won't find any freeride terrain, I will be using this. This is the F1 XT. I've had the F1 LT before, and this XT version just takes it up a notch. I really love it. I love that you're skiing with a little bit more forward lean. I like the latches. And yeah, a great touring boot if all you do is touring. Nothing that's lift assisted. Okay, and before we get into what I'm wearing while skiing, I will show you my technical gear. 99% of the time, I'll just have this in my backpack. This is the Blue Ice Hummingbird. It's very nice because I've had it customized. I love this thing. It's super light at 200 grams. It's just in my backpack, and if I need it, I know it's there. I use it mostly for plunging through the snow, but if I need something more technical, I can always use the trick rest here and use that. If I were to find some more technical conditions, I would probably take this one, the Petzl Gully, which has a slightly more technical blade, or I would just take these two so I can even do some light ice climbing. And if I were to find any really technical climbing in my skiing, which to be honest, I normally don't, I would take this. This is an ice tool. This is not an ice axe anymore. This is the Camp Extreme Alpine. This is for like vertical ice, overhanging stuff. I'll be completely honest with you, not stuff that I do while skiing, but sometimes I go on alpinism adventures and I take these for that part. And they make me get away with being a very average or bad climber. These help out a lot. So next up, if I'm using ropes or going on a glacier, I will be using this tiny thing weighing only 86 grams or so is my Blue Ice Shuka Light harness, I think. This is amazing because I can just put it on without taking my skis off, or if I have my ski boots on, and it's very light, comfortable enough if you're wearing ski clothes, and yeah, like you don't even feel that you have it on. It's like very comfortable. Next up we have crampons. I use the Blue Ice Harfang. These are the Harfang Tour, which are extremely light, full aluminum build. I also have the full steel ones here. Why do I have two? Well, I use the steel ones in summer where I know I'll be stepping on much more rock. And the tours here are special for winter where I know I will be climbing up on snow. I like them because they pack into the small pouch. You can even have them outside of your backpack. Super fast, very efficient. And last in my technical kit are these. I found these through videos of Nikolai Schirmer and Cody Townsend, and I didn't know they were as useful as they are. These are the Cramplifiers from Auftriib. They're carbon crampon plates to go up in deep snow, especially couloirs. You basically clip these between your ski boot and the crampons from below, kind of like a sandwich. These have been a game changer, especially on our recent trip to Norway. These plates make going up in deep snow much more efficient. I can highly recommend them. They are also not that heavy and fold into each other, so they don't take up any space in your backpack. This is a great product. Okay, and now we've brought in the clothing that I will be using in the mountains. What you need to know about ski touring and freeriding is that the temperature variation is incredible. So sometimes it's super cold and windy, and sometimes it gets very hot, especially if you're going uphill in the sun. It gets really warm. So my main goal when ski touring is staying dry and warm. And to be able to stay dry and warm, I have a system that I use to shed layers depending on the situation. First off, the base layer. This is the Rab Force base layer kit. They are a mixture between merino and synthetic, which honestly I found that works really well by keeping the smell down, but at the same time also keeping me dry. I think it's like the best of both worlds. In terms of socks, I've been using these ski socks from Sirocco. I haven't had any issues with them in terms of blistering or not being warm enough. My base layers come with me everywhere, and once I have these on, I would have to choose, depending on the weather and the conditions I'm going into, what kind of fleece I'm bringing with me. If it's gonna be very sunny or warm, I will take this. This is the Force hoodie, which acts like a sun hoodie as well. When I'm touring, it's super lightweight and keeps me out of the sun and very cool. Next up, we have the Alpha Flash jacket. The Alpha Flash is made out of alpha fabric, which is incredibly breathable. It's almost see-through, really warm, but doesn't keep any wind out. If it's gonna be windy, I will probably reach for this fleece. This one's the new Rab Ascender Pro hoodie. This would be kind of like my basic fleece, but that's also slightly windproof, where I could tour up in this, keep some warmth, but also keep the wind out. The next layer is going to be insulation. If I know it's going to be really cold, I will put on some insulated pants. These are the Xener 3/4 shorts, and this is the Xener Alpine jacket. But since most of the time I tend to run really hot, I am not using these as much as other people will. And now we've finally gotten to the outerwear. This is the kit I've been using last season, and it's the Rab Chroma Converge. I really love it. Today I'll show you a very similar kit. For this upcoming season, I've gone for the Lantoc Pro GTX. I've gone for this kit instead of the Converge because it has a bib, and I really like the bib. It keeps the snow out and it allows me not to use a snow skirt. And also it's very comfortable just for wearing all day long. This is the matching Lantoc GTX Pro jacket. And I've been really impressed with how light this kit is and how durable it has been. This would be my main Freeride kit where I'm going everywhere with it, into the resort, if I'm not knowing what kind of temperatures we're going to be having, or if I just want to look cool. Because it has kind of like a bit roomier fit and I can wear it with many layers underneath. If I know I'm going to be specifically touring in good weather, I could jump for something like this. This is the Rab Chroma Kinetic. It's not made out of Gore-Tex. It's made out of their own proprietary fabric, which is also waterproof, but it's, to me, much more comfortable because it's stretchy and it's not so loud in terms of sound. I really like these and they're a lighter weight, so I take these if I'm going touring. Finally, if I'm going to tour in really hot weather like late spring, where I know I'll be running very hot, I could jump into something like this. These are the Chroma Tour pants. They're a soft shell pant, and to match this, I took this, which is not a ski jacket. It's the Rab Vaporize Alpine. It's not waterproof, but it's great for ski touring in sunny weather, putting out a lot of energy and heat, and I need something that breathes with me. Basically, this is as close as skiing in a pajama as you can get to. It's super comfortable. I love this setup, but if there's any chance of rain or bad weather, I would definitely take a waterproof membrane with me. Last, in terms of clothing, I want to talk about two types of different down jackets that I take with me. This one is the one I use the most. This is the Rab Mythic Alpine Light, and it's an incredibly lightweight jacket to be worn under the jacket, and basically it keeps me warm whenever I need to. It has a body mapped mix of down and synthetic insulation, depending on where you need what the most. It packs down to nothing. I can keep this in my backpack and know I'll have a warm jacket in case I need it. Should I go to a really cold place, I take this. This is almost expedition grade warmth. This is the Rab Mythic Ultra, and it's basically a sleeping bag that you can wear. I love this thing, but to be completely honest, it's so warm that I don't always take it with me on the adventure itself. But whenever this is needed, I really love having it with me. I just noticed that I completely forgot to talk about my glove system, so let's have a look. These are the gloves I use for all my skiing. This is completely overkill. You don't need as many gloves. In reality, you only need 3 pairs of gloves. I'll just go over these really quickly so you know what they are. I'll explain you my system in a minute. So these are basically some super thin fleece gloves that I use when touring. Normally I don't use gloves when touring, but when it's cold outside and it's windy, these are really handy. For most of my skiing, I use these. These are the Chroma Tour Windstopper. Leather on the inside, very little insulation. Then if we go up a notch, these are the Chroma Tour Gore-Tex. These are definitely warmer than the other ones. If it gets really cold, we have the Chroma Freeride. These are very thick gloves, super comfortable, super warm. And finally, my latest addition are these. These are called the Rab Shield mitts, and it's literally just a thin waterproof layer. And why would I need something like this? This doesn't give any heat. Well, it brings me to my modular system. With these 3, you can do everything. Normally I wear these, but I have always a warmer pack in the backpack in case these get wet. If you're in the backcountry and someone loses a glove, having a spare can save their lives, literally. If it gets cold or wet, I can just put on the mitt over it, and I already have a much warmer glove. And if this isn't enough, I can also pull the shield over these, the Freeride gloves, and you get an extremely warm mitt that is modular, and if it's raining or it's a really bad storm, this gets really wet, I can always pull this off and I still have a dry pair of gloves with me. Something I recently discovered when touring in Norway was that when these gloves got too windy in the Arctic weather, I would just pull these over and it protected me from the wind while touring, and my hands got much warmer. Loving this system. So the helmet I've been using for the last 2 seasons is the Smith Summit. I love this helmet because it was specifically designed for ski mountaineering. You can ask Cody Townsend about this, who is actually the person who designed this with Smith. I really love that it's super lightweight, it still has MIPS, and it's so well ventilated that I can keep it on while climbing, which is not something I could do with a normal ski helmet. If it's too cold or windy, what I will do is put a thin beanie underneath. And to match the black optics of the helmet, I've gone for the Sirocco goggles. And I've been really loving this setup. It's lightweight and honestly it's super comfortable. It doesn't even feel like you're having a helmet on. And finally, the question I get asked the most is, how do I film all my ski videos? Well, most of them is just a mixture of GoPros, filming with my phone, and when I can, I also bring a lightweight drone. I will go into detail into what cameras I use and how I use them to film skiing in an upcoming video. But let me know what questions you have in terms of gear and if I've left out something. It's definitely a different video to what I normally do, but I get so many gear questions that I thought I'd just put this out and then you can refer to this in the future. If you've come this far, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a lot. And as always, see you on the next adventure.